Hello everyone, Ben Chapman here with NumotGaming.com to do a Omens of the Past draft. So, it's a complicated format these days because, as I mentioned in my draft guide, 3+ factions is a very viable strategy, so you have to really keep in mind your splashing capabilities. So, let's see what this offers. Early on, I like to just mainly focus on what I think is the most powerful card to help get started, and I'm not that thrilled with any of the uncommon or rare options here. Um, the Seer has a lot of upside if you can land a couple of bomby flying units. So I'm more likely to boost this up if I already have one of those, taking this and hoping to try to land a dragon or something powerful. Um, you know, it's a little speculative. I don't know if I want to do that right away. But the safer pick by far is just to take something like Stormcrasher, which is pretty much great in any primal deck. Um, I'm not at a point where I'm just gonna randomly take a banner, pick one. The package would be really bad. This is like possibly an argument for that. And of these, I'd take the Huru one. I've had more success with time primal based decks than I have Justice, or sorry, Time Shadow. So Justice Primal has been better than Xenon for me so far. Um, yeah, I just wouldn't want to take any of these uncommons first. They're not strong enough. Emerald Ring can be good, but it requires like a stalled board. It's like really bad in like a scrap, like in like a normal sort of early game situation. Like playing this on turn 3 when the opponent's curving out means you're probably going to lose. But if you can stabilize everything, then it can help you win. So it's like I don't mind having one in my Justice decks, but I don't want to prioritize it because it's pretty narrow and when it's good. Um, I haven't actually played with this year, so my criticism of it is kind of speculative, and it can be okay if you're just getting, say, a Stormcrasher, just because flying units decide games a lot, so being able to like draw one is pretty good. But keep in mind, you also have to spark it, and the 1/3 for 4 is a really bad rate. So the downside of not hitting something great with it, I think you need the upside to be really strong, like getting something better than a Stormcrasher for it to be worthwhile. Um, all that said, do I want to take it to really get some real experience with it? Versus I've played a lot with Stormcrasher, I kind of know what it does. Um, I think I'll do it, so we'll see where that goes. So Sleepless Night is really powerful, but it does require a certain type of deck. You need to be able to go long. You need to be able to like stabilize the board. So it's not easy to play with, but if you can cast it, you'll probably do pretty well. You'll probably win. Humbug Swarm is just kind of generally powerful. Don't really like Piercing Grief and Draft all that much. I think it's between Sleepless Night and Purify. Possibly Xenon Stranger is just a speculation. Um, oh, of course, Humbug Swarm. It's actually probably more between these two. Like, the Humbug Swarm goes really well with the Seer in that um, you're going to be playing Elysian, which has a lot of flying units, which goes well with the Seer. It also turns on Spark pretty well, even though it's kind of out of curve order. You probably wouldn't get to cast this until turn 6, in which case the 1/3 is even less exciting. Um, but you know what? I haven't got a chance to play a Sleepless Night yet, and I really want to. So I'm going to try to take this and draft a controlling shadow-based deck. Because I'm way more excited about trying out Sleepless Night than I am Skyward Seer. And don't really like these all that much. It's pretty hard to have enough mentor cards for this to be that great. I mean, it's possible, certainly possible with a lot of Dragon Breaths and like these Architects. Um, like if you had all these 4 in your deck, you're probably off to a good start. But I'm gonna just go with the safer Extract. It goes really well with Sleepless Night, and I'm not that worried about giving up on the Seer right now. So let's just move in on Shadow and see where that takes us. Alright, so this is the best Shadow 2-drop with the Marksman in the Omens deck. One of the best commons. It's up there with Extract, so it's strong. But we've got some multi-faction cards that warrant attention. The Cupbearer can really turn on a life force deck if you have enough cards that want repeated life gain. Then this gets to be pretty strong. The Roland's Choice, I do think this is powerful. Being able to buff a unit permanently can win games, and then in certain situations, the -1/-1 can be really good. I don't think the Vigilante is definitely fine and is solid, but I think I'd rather have the Roland's Choice over it if I was going to pick between those. The safest choice is just the Marksman, because that's the only faction we're for sure playing is Shadow, and these kind of push me into another faction. So the question really is the power level of this Roland's Choice better than the consistency of this? Or kind of a side thing is, how do we feel about the Lifesteal deck and Life Force decks? I can tell you right now, I've tried it a bunch of times and it hasn't worked out that well for me. I think you need like one of the rare payoffs, or the one that makes units equal to the life gained at the end of every turn, or the one that draws cards, the one that pumps your whole team. If you need one of those payoffs, I think, for this to really be great. We don't have one of those yet, so I think I'm going to try to decide between these two. And I think I'm going to go with the more powerful Roland's Choice for now. We'll see how that goes. So taking this opens up some doors in terms of where we end up as far as factions. So we could go straight Justice Shadow. We can add in Primal. We can also add in Fire. But the Primal is a little better because it enables more factions. So like more factions from the Omens pack, so we can play Huru cards and Argenport cards if we go with Primal as the second option. So, but let's just see what this offers us. So the Eileen's Choice is the most powerful controlling card. It helps us deal with a big unit. This would push us into that Primal splash. Scepter of Nobility is like okay removal. Like, it doesn't go well here because we're not probably going to be playing a lot of weapons. So it's just going to be a 3/3 weapon, relic weapon for 5, which isn't all that good. Don't really need any of these. These aren't great splash cards. Like, we're gonna probably, though we could, you could be, because of the Sleepless Night and Extract, Shadow has to be one of our main colors. So really, we're gonna probably be either Shadow Primal based or Shadow Justice. Either way, we can splash the choice, or either choice will be the one that gets splashed depending on how things play out. I'm just going to take the Eileen's Choice, the more controlling strategy. We're making picks to build around Sleepless Night right now in terms of we want a deck that can get us to the late game. So this isn't a great splash card, whereas the Eileen's Choice, that's going to be good on turn 3 all the way up until turn 10 throughout the rest of the game, because you're able to kill something. There's always going to be something big to kill. There's likely to be something big to kill, or a spell to counter is less likely. But this is at its best early in the game, and we may not have the Primal early in the game. Primal Influence. We're mainly going to be probably Shadow Justice early, so this is going to be tough to pull off. This goes well in the late game. There's a lot of things that kill it for value, but it also is a good finisher. So I haven't really played with the Cabal Rogue yet, but I don't think it's that bad. I think it's a pretty strong finisher. This is the safer choice, but again, that would put us more in and it's not out of the question to be Primal Shadow based, in which case this is a fine card. But there's a little less support for that because there's less Feln focused cards than there are Argenport, because there's less cards in Omens as a set, so the powerful Argenport cards are going to show up a little more often than the powerful Feln cards. All that said, I think I'm just going to go for the Rogue as the finisher. So I think I'm going to go with the Bully. I think we're going to zone in on being Argenport focused with a Primal Splash, and this is like a lot better than all these other cards, so I'm pretty comfortable doing that. The Cyclops is solid. I will say that the rate on that is pretty strong, but I'll take the Bully. 2 drops are pretty strong. We could go for a double splash, and the initiation is not a bad one, but this does a very similar thing, and is splashable, so we'll just take the Dragon's Breath. I don't love splashing Shield Bash. It's like a fine card to play. It's not going to really hurt you that badly, but without, say, a Fencing Master to really go with it, it's not that exciting. I'd rather just have the 3/3, though this isn't that great to splash either. I could take this on the off chance we get a Fencing Ace, in which case this becomes a good, really exciting splash card. Or Fencing Master. We don't really want these time cards. There's also the possibility I take this and we end up more Feln based and we give up on the Bully. But this isn't even that exciting, so I think I'm going to speculate in the Shield Bash. We're probably not going to play whatever it is we get there. Again, if we end up Feln based, play the Alpha possibly. These are both really bad. Alright. So, powerful card here in Paladin Oathbook. It's not really a control card, but it's just rawly powerful with pretty much any unit, so I'm really looking to take that. I do like the Recruiter a decent amount, and we're not really splashing Wisdom. Again, we could take Wisdom and go for the more Feln-based version of this, but that would mean giving up the Bully, which would be actually something to consider, but I want more to push me in that direction before doing that, and I think the Oathbook is just going to be better, so we'll take that. So even though I'm trying to build like a deck with the gearing to the late game, I'm not going to ignore a card like Oathbook just because it doesn't necessarily fit in that part of this. There's also the powerful card trump. So like if your card's just powerful, then it can win a game on its own. Like this one, it trumps any kind of can trump your late game strategy or your overall strategy, because this is like a new strategy, a side strategy that wins games on its own. So we don't really have any fixing yet, so the Seek Power is really enticing. I think it's between Seek Power and like Amethyst Acolyte. So these are some nice enticements into going Feln, but that kind of conflicts with the Bully and the Oathbook, and I think the Bully and the Oathbook combined make these a little less good. Like you can play a Swiftblade if you have a crazy amount of Feln fixing, but we just don't have that yet, and this is a splashable trainer. I wouldn't mind splashing either. It's just, again, a kind of a powerful card. But I'm going to go with the Seek Power because we have no fixing just yet. Here I like Dark Return, Crown Watch Paladin, Bright Mace Paladin. I don't mind splashing a Blind Storyteller either, even though it costs 1. The influence requirement is just the 1 primal, and it's good in the late game. That's kind of when you want to be activating this. So. But we already have kind of Sleepless Night as a dirtily late game card. We don't necessarily need another one right now. We'd much rather take, I think, the Crown Watch Paladin. I think it's a little more powerful. 2 drops are important. It goes well with Dragon Breath and the Oathbook. The Bright Mace Paladin's a consideration, but that would want us to have more weapons, though we do already have a card that goes well with it, the Roland's Choice. But all told, I think the Crown Watch is a little more powerful, so we'll take that. So, what do we have here? We're probably going to end up with a lot of Strangers. We're going to hope to have like 2 or 3, in which case Soaring Stranger is a very good card on its own, and it's something I think that is better to splash than a Frostkin. I don't think we want the Rampager, and Devour is not great. We're not going to have a ton of units that are disposable. We could speculate on a Combri banner in case you want to splash a time card. Like when we look at our blue card or blue primal cards that we're excited to play, it's just the choice and kind of Dragon Breath. The bash isn't all that good just yet. It's possible we get pushed out of primal and want to pick up time in its place as our third faction. In which case the banners would go a long way to enabling that. So this is the kind of like choice that's really hard in the new format, is like speculating on possible splashes down the road, knowing that you shouldn't just rule out this banner. And while I think it's fine to splash the Soaring Stranger, it's not that great. I think I'm just gonna speculate on the Combri banner for now. And we can take the Minotaur Grunt pretty safely here. Nothing that great. We're kind of getting cut on Shadow. We've not seen good Shadow cards this pack, but that's alright for now. It's also possible we splash Fire instead. We haven't seen many card reasons to do that. We could just take this Sidearm, which would go well on any of our 2-drops, especially this Bully. I think I'm just going to take the Sidearm. It's pretty good early game play. The Predator's Instinct is an okay splash card, but not that excited about it. Not really interested in splashing any of these. But am I really going to play Detain? Maybe. It is a trick. It's pretty... It can counter something like opposing Dragon Breath, which is nice. I'll just take the Detain. I'm not that excited about any of those cards. I don't like any of these either. I think I'm just going to take the Frost Cannon and not be that excited about it. These are a little more enticing to splash. Not that great, but possible. Both of them are pretty good against opposing flyers. The Tower Top Patrol pairs a little bit better with our late game plan in that it can hold back a lot of things. So I'm going to take that. I don't think Sabotage is worth considering. Like, it's too often that it whiffs, and you can't afford to just throw away a card like that. I have played Days with Fencing Master, and we've already got Shield Bash. We're not really going to be wanting to splash a 2-drop like this, so I'll take Days just in case we get the Fencing Master. And I think the Blast is playable. We're not going to play the Drone. Okay, so Prosecutor at Arms is a fine card. You're going to be pretty happy with that as a 6-drop a lot of the time. And the Denouncer is also quite strong, actually, since we're in those factions. Goes really well, I think, with the Roland's Choice. Like, you make this a 6/6, then they can kill them on its own, but if they kill it, you can possibly get it back, and it's that much harder to deal with. I think it's a little bit better than the Prosecutor, so I'm going to take that. Alright. Another Revenge card. We have a couple Minotaurs already. And this is just pretty strong on its own. But because we have a couple Minotaurs, that makes it pretty exciting. But Extract is awesome. And this is the kind of card we need to get to the late game. This is a hard pick. If I had more Minotaurs, I'd be more into it, into the Gorehorn. I just think like Extract is so powerful that we need the removal. That's close. There's another Minotaur, but that ship's kind of sailed. What kind of weapons do we have so far? It's just the Sidearm, I think. So the Bludgeoner's not great, but there's a possibility we get more weapons, so we should not rule it out. Nothing great to splash as far as time or primal. And we just have the Dragon Breath to turn that on so far, I think. Again, we could get more Mentor cards to make this better. The Oathkeeper is actually pretty strong. Like, that extra, on its own, it's a 2/2 for 1 when it attacks, which is good. And then it can push some of your other things through later. I think it's better than the Bludgeoner, the upside of maybe getting some more weapons for the Bludgeoner. So As much as I don't like 1/1s for 1 generally, this is actually a playable one. One of my favorite cards, the Hunter's Harpoon in the new set. Fortunately, we cannot take it here. We're just too far away from splashing that. Our fixing situation is quite weak, but at the same time, we don't really have anything that's that great that we want to splash. This is looking like we're going to just be Argenport, just the way this draft broke. We're probably not going to splash anything. The initiation is something worth thinking about splashing. It's that or like one of these 2/3 drops. Like, this kind of needs help. Well, this can be a lot better if you have life gain. We've got 2 extracts, so this into an extract is a 4/3 for 3, which is pretty strong. I think we're just going to take the slasher. We've got... I thought we had some more life gain somewhere. Maybe not. No. But with 2 extracts, it's pretty good. It can block a bunch of 2/2s. Being a 1/3 is a little more helpful for a defensive plan than this, although this is a fine blocker, one-time blocker. It'll trade up a lot of the time, but this will hold back and stall out the game, which is what we want. So I think we'll take the slasher for now. So the Linebreaker is a pretty strong 8-drop, if that's what we're in the market for. We already have an 8-drop and a 7, so this would be a little bit of a stretch, but it is a really good finisher. We kind of have to decide if we want to splash Time or Primal. Like, one of these might be better than the Linebreaker if we could reliably cast it, but right now we just have Seek Power and Combree Banner to help fix, so we're a little more set up to splash the Cupbearer than not. But the only payoffs we have with this really are like the Sidearm, the Oath Book. Pretty good with Roland's Choice. Maybe the Cupbearer is pretty good. But I'm kind of a sucker for this Linebreaker. It's like a 5/6 flyer is just a game winner so much of the time that it also keeps us kind of open in terms of what we're splashing. So I'm just going to take it and see what else we get. The Light Hoof is actually quite strong. Like, these two are pretty close, but just 4/5 for 5 versus 4/4 for 6. Like, this ability is a lot better. Like, you can kind of kill another unit with it. If it's like a flyer, you could turn it off. And that's quite good, but just the rate, just 4/5 for 5 is just quite good. And it can get in some key damage. So, that is close. There's also the sword, but we don't really have anything we want to sacrifice, so not that excited about that one right now. I'm just going to take the Light Hoof. And another slasher. We don't really need any of these other things, so I guess we'll take the slasher. So any more life gain would be somewhat welcome. Let's see. I don't think this is that good. Cripple is fine. Fine piece interaction will kill a flyer that's beating you down, and we're kind of weak to flyers. Which is aside from like just killing them with extract or whatever. This is like a really bad extract, basically. Versus an Oath Keeper. Like 2 Oath Keepers is pretty good too. Like, I think we'll just take the Oath Keeper. I just think this is a pretty good card. And the Shieldman is pretty good at getting us to the late game. And Voyaging Lumen is not. It's like a decent splash card, but we have a couple of pretty expensive cards already, and not the Life Force is just not that relevant on turn 6. Getting a 1/1 is usually not going to do much. Just take the Shield Man. And now I'll take the Lumen, even though it's not that exciting. This is pretty exciting if we had enough life gain and enough ways to splash this. But this is at its best when you're time-based, not where we're at here. This is like okay as an aggressive card, and we don't really have much 4-drops. Like, I think Shield Bash is definitely out. We're still not sure what we're doing as far as the splash, or if we're splashing. I'm just gonna take the Rabble Rouser, even though I don't think it's great. It'll be really hard to splash this Cyclops, just fixing-wise. So Argenport Ringmaster is a pretty powerful 6. It goes really well with the Light Hoof, like really well. Like that could be a game winner. 2-card combo, which I'm really excited about. So because there's not, like, this is a pretty good splash card, but not that thrilled with. I think the Ringmaster is just better anyway, so we'll just take that. The Monument's really powerful. I'm happy to get Monuments when I can get them. Wouldn't mind either of these. This goes really well with our Oathkeepers. And our Cabal Slashers. So this is a tough pick. I think Destroyer, with the 2 Slashers, the Destroyer gets a lot better. Especially with the 2 Oathkeepers. So this is tough, but the Monument just does a lot of good things. Like, we're going to want to play like 18, 19 power in this deck to cast these 8-drops. And this helps us in case we flood out and we don't, it gives us another sort of late game thing to do and play extra power and not get punished as hard. So this is tough. Like, this fits really well with the lower end of our deck, and this fits really well with like the upper end. We also got the sidearm that's pretty good, and the Oath Book. I think I'm gonna go. Normally I would take the Monument, but given what we have going on in the early game, I think the Destroyer is the pick. It's very close. So this is a pretty strong splash card, the Pathfinder, and there's nothing really else that we want here. The Stranger could enable a double splash, but I don't think we just don't have any primal cards that are that exciting to splash. So Dragon Breath, not that excited about. The choice is something. We do already have a couple of 5s, and I think we want just more 2-drops in general, given like the Oathkeepers. So I'm going to take this just because we need 2-drops, and it could help on either side of the splash. Here's another Destroyer. I think, given all the other logic, where I think the Monument is better than like the Magus or the Rapid Shot, I think we just want the Destroyer. Plague's really good. Again, we could splash Pathfinder, but I'm not all that excited about doing that. I mean, it's kind of exciting, but Plague is just really strong, so I think we're going to end up just playing straight Argenport and not worried about splashing. Then again, we get Scorpion Wasp, which is a very good splash card that actually does help us get to the late game. It does align with a lot of our goals here, though Finest Hour goes really well with our 2 Destroyers. So this is like a really tough pick. I think because we only have a couple of fixers, and this is at its best sort of early mid-game, though it's kind of good at any time, I'm just going to give up on splashing and just take Finest Hour because it goes well with a lot of what we're doing here. Then again, we just got another fixer. Unlock Potential is not the worst splash card either, but again, it's more something I'd want if I had a lot of fixing, and I just don't. I think at this point I just want to have another option at another 2-drop just to play. And I'll just take a 3/3 for 3 here. Nothing else really worth thinking about. Trickster's Cloak is a decent one to splash. I think just take it, but probably not play it. And Swiftblade. Water of Life, I have played it in this draft format, but more in a dedicated Life Force deck. We have some Life Force cards, but they're not really what we're looking for. So yeah, I'm going to go for the straight 2-faction deck and cut from there. think Seek Power is still like playable in that situation. I like all of our top end. We're just gonna need to play like a lot of power, like I think 19 or 18 with the Seek Power is where we're gonna end up. So we just need one more cut in that case. I think we need all of our 2-drops to go with like our Oath Keepers and Oath Book. So I don't really want to cut any of those. I could cut the Shield Man. He's not Shieldman. He's not great. Good blocker, but this deck's actually kind of into attacking, though attacking this with the Oath Book is kind of cool. Like, just getting permanent buffs on this is pretty strong. Like, goes pretty decent with the sidearm, too. Just takes out of range a lot of the fire cards, like, out of the range of Extract. It does some good things, but it also, on its own, doesn't attack at all, and everything else kind of does both roles, and I'd rather just have cards that do both, so... It's also possible we want to play 17 plus Seek Power and kind of gamble on these expensive cards, but I'd rather play 18 plus Seek Power and be better shape overall. So this deck, I don't think it really got there. The best part of it is the 2 extracts and like Sleepless Night, but I'm not sure. The other side to this that is pretty interesting is the double Xenon Destroyer with the Oath Books and the Oath Keepers, and just yeah, I think that combined with the Cabal Slasher could lead to some exciting sort of early game stuff. It'll be interesting to see how this does. I haven't actually drafted too much Argenport, and I think this is an okay version of that. We'll see. And this is a fine hand. We really want to hit double Shadow, but I think I can't turn down a turn 2 Crown Watch. You pretty much need to keep that. And we got there. This is pretty far away from happening, but we've got a nice curve, so I'm not that worried about it.
The throne must be destroyed.
Yeah, we're gonna have to just kill that. And we'll keep another Extract. It's just a really strong card.
You're worth more dead than alive.
It's a fellow Argenport deck. We're just gonna keep extracting. And we'll keep an Oath Book. Oath Book's not at its best in this late of a situation, but still quite good. And it curves nicely with our Thorn Beast.
Make each bullet count.
Speak your oath.
I assume they're gonna block, but I want the War Cry, and maybe they won't block. I think we're gonna get to Cabal Rogue plus Oathbook territory. Ooh, that's a good one. I think we're in really good shape here.
The throne must be destroyed.
You look lost.
Interesting call here, whether we attack with both or just the 6/6. I think just the 6/6 is gonna be fun. Triggers the Oath Book. It gives us blockers for the Infiltrate. Like, we really don't want him to connect here, because that could give him outs to actually beating this Destroyer. We do miss out on 4 damage, but alright. Interesting. He's not going to race this too easily. Yeah, just the big one for now. yeah, I think he's just gonna go down to that. We'll give him a... Now, the question is, do we want to play around harsh rule? I think we don't. I think we just don't worry about harsh rule and present another threat. Alright, so he's gonna kill that, that's fine. But he still doesn't have good blocks for this. And they're gonna have to start jumping. Ooh.
You're worth more dead than alive.
That's nice. We're gonna get a 10-3 out of the deal. We're at 51, so if they win this game, it'll be impressive. Yeah, that'll gain them some health.
Another late night.
Dark Return plus Revenge is pretty sweet. Alright, so they're at an effective 15. So attacking with everything's just not that great. Let's just keep sending in the lifesteal. Okay. So attacking with this as well would force a trade there, and I think at that point it could force a chump. I think they're going to try to trade though. I think at this point sending everything is okay. Alright, so they're going to go to 2 and jump. Or 3 rather. I'm okay throwing away the 4-4 there to put them in a... Now they need an answer for every single one of the units. Yeah, I don't think we were going to lose that too easily. And nice, we got an achievement. That's a big one, 10,000 health for 2,500. Sweet. Alright, I'll be back with another video in just a sec.